everyone, it's Jen from Jen Bell Designs with you today. I am going to do a tutorial here on my Carta Bella Honeybee album that was done for, that's being done for Country Craft Creations design team project. And this is a 7.5 by 7.5 inch album that is square. I have it upside down because I actually, when I put my cover together, I liked this side better. It happens. So don't worry about my writing. However, this also has a 2-inch spine. This is also done in the CCC lay flat method. And I have linked below the video to show you how to do that. For this one, you will need 2 pieces of heavyweight chipboard that are 7.5 by 7.5. One that is 2 by 7.5. And then your papers will be 9.5 by 9.5 twice. So for both of these. And then 5 by 9.5 for your spine. And then a 5 by just under 7.5 inch piece for your spine cover on the inside. So that is my cover, and you've probably seen my sneak peek where I showed what I'm doing with that cover. This album is going to have 4 signatures. There will be 2 side pocket signatures and 2 top pocket signatures. And these are my prototypes. I will show you how to make these. I'm going to make one with you of each type. As you can see, this is a top pocket. And we will make 2 of those, and we will make 2 of the side pockets. So what I have here first in my hand is side pockets. For the side pockets, you need 2 pieces. One that is 7.25 by 7.25, and one that is 7 by 8.25. Now, when this is all done and together, your pages will end up being 6.5 by 7.25. You'll have that 1/4 inch little give space, which if you want to increase that to a 1/2, feel free. Some people do like that little bit more room. Then you have your 1/2 inch that goes on to your spine piece that we will make. So this makes it a total of 7.25 by 7.25, and it will fit and leave a little tiny bit of space, that 1/4 inch, all the way around your album cover. So let's dive into the side pocket. I've already cut this one. But your bases will have your 7.25 by 7.25. We're going to score those at 1/2 and at 3/4. And we'll just set that aside for now. Your 7 by 8.25, you're going to put in at 7 and score at 1/2. And then you're going to put it at that 8.25 and you're going to score at 1/2. Flip it around and score at 1/2. So we are scoring at 1/2 on 3 sides, essentially. Then I also mitered my edges, my corners, so these are mitered all the way around on those. As you can see, I've already done it. Now I'm going to simply take this and I'm going to give it a good burnish. We want these nice and crisp, so make sure when you're burnishing that you really, really burnish well. Burnishing both sides is helpful. Because we want a really good, crisp pocket. We don't want any bulging or otherwise. So the easiest way that I have found to do this, and I am going to use a little bit of Scotch tape. I need to grab it. I'm sorry, I don't have it here on my desk. Normally I do, but somehow it got put over in my other area. So what we're going to do first is the bottom section where our pocket is going to slide in. So the easiest way to do this, I use my scoreboard. I flip this all the way around so that my 1/4 inch and my 1/2 inch that I scored are on the right. Okay? Because we want this line, our back piece, to line up with that 1/4 inch line. So I'm going to grab some glue here. As soon as it decides it wants to, the pin wants to come out. Woo, having a good morning already here. Okay. So I'm going to add glue just to that back portion here. This one area, not the 2 here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to place this down into my scoreboard. I'm going to line this up, keeping a hold of that bottom piece so that it doesn't slide around. And then you should simply be able to get that right on that line where that 1/4 inch is. If not, you might have to do a little bit of moving around, and that's fine. This just helps me line it up a little straighter, to be honest. And then I can pick it up and really look at where my paper is lying. Make sure there's no overhang anywhere, and there is not. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to burnish that on the outside. Then I'm going to flip this open. You can see where we have our piece. I am going to run some Scotch tape across just to make this, whatever I put in this pocket will slide a little bit easier by putting this tape here. If I don't crinkle the tape like I just did, that is. All right. Now we're going to add glue to our side gussets. These pocket pages are very, very simple. You just need to make sure that you're, like I said, burnishing really, really well as you go. And paying attention to where your paper lands so that you don't have any crooked spots or overhang either on the top and bottom or on the sides. So I am just going to burnish this out even better. And there we have our first side pocket page. And I feel like mine might be a little off. Nope, it's fine. It's just my eyes deceiving me. All right. If for some reason, maybe it is a little bit off there. No, it's fine. Okay. For a minute there, I thought it was off on the top, but it might just be that my page under, sometimes our cutters, I'm just going to fold this over my 1/4 inch give here, and I am going to burnish that and take a look. Yeah, it's on this side. So if that's the case, you can always grab a cutter. Now mine is off camera, but you can grab, let me grab a cutter that I can show you it on. Let me see here. As I drop everything. So if we put this out, this rotary cutter, and I pull my arm out here, I want to make sure that this is 6 1/2. So the best way for me to do that is just to put this in my 6 1/2 is right. Let's take a look here. 6 1/2. Yeah, see, I have a little bit of overage on that top part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my other cutter because it's more precise, but it's big and I can't move it over here. And I'm going to make sure that that's 6 1/2. So it's just going to cut a little sliver off that edge because this one somehow was measured a little bit off. And there we go. Perfect. All right, so you'll make 2 of the side pocket pages. Top pocket signature is the same thing, but our pocket for our mats or whatever we put in here will be at the top. So let me grab the pieces for a top pocket base. Also 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. But your top pocket top, woo, 7 1/2 by 7 3/4. Okay. So for the base, just like we did the side pocket, we're going to score it 1/2. And we're going to score it 3/4. Okay. Set that aside. Take your 7 1/2 by 7 3/4. And I got to make sure that I do this right. So we have our 7 1/2 here. That's not right. This is wrong. 1 second. Nope, it's perfectly correct. Jen just is losing it this morning. So put it on your 7 1/2. We're going to score it 1/2. Then we're going to turn it so that our 7 3/4 at the top, and we're going to score it 1/2. Turn one more time so that 7.5 is on the top and score at half. Then we're going to miter at the cross section there and there. And also these tops I like to miter as well. Just makes everything lay down a little smoother when you miter. And this is what you'll have, okay? So we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish all of our score lines here. And I'm going to do that both the front and the back, so I get a nice, smooth, crisp pocket. Now, check your corners where you mitered. Just make sure there's not a lot of overlapping. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flip my base around so that my 1/2 inch and my 1/4 inch is on this side of my scoreboard. And I'm only going to add glue to that bottom gusset. And then we're going to put that in just like we did the other. I'm going to hold this one as straight as possible and slide that in. And as you can see, sometimes it just does not cooperate. Perfect. All right, that time it went in great. I'm going to go in, I'm going to burnish that bottom that we put the glue, and then I can flip it open and add my tape. And the tape is optional. This is just a trick I learned from another designer along the way, watching their videos, that just helps stuff not get stuck and hung up on that gusset. So now we're going to add our glue to our side gussets. And I think I might have just got a little glue on the underside, which I don't want because I don't want my pocket to stick to itself. So then we're just going to pull this up. I'm going to line this up nicely in my, and really push that line down. And then I can burnish. And I will burnish as I did before on both sides. So we get a nice, clean, crisp pocket. And there is our top pocket signature. Easy stuff. So again, you will make 2 of the first one, the side pocket signature, and 2 of the top pocket signature. Okay? So that is the signatures. Next, we will dive into signature by signature, all the different flips and flaps and pockets. All right, so let's get started on these signatures. So we're going to start with signature 1, which in this instance, we're going to start with a side pocket page. So you want to make sure that you're on signature 1, side A, which means your pocket will be facing your right side. And I'm going to grab the pieces. So what we will need for this is waterfall pieces. Wait, waterfall pieces? Yes, waterfall goes on 1B. So that's our B side. I'm going to set that aside for a moment. This is also our B side. So for 1A, what we're going to have is 2 pieces. One that is 9 by 7 1/4, 9 across by 7 1/4, and one that is 3.5 by 8 1/4. So 3.5 by 8 1/4, 9 by 7 1/4. So take your 9 by 7 1/4. We're going to put that on our scoreboard with that 9 across, and we are going to score this at 1/2 inch. Give that a good score, and then at 5 inches. Okay. And when I do my decorating, I may round some corners. You will have seen that in my walkthrough. Essentially, this is going to fold under. So you want to fold that under and burnish. So you get a nice crisp line there. And then our 1/2 inch that we scored, we also want to fold that over and burnish, because that is what's going to attach to our book. And I can attach this with glue rather than the, yeah, Jen can't talk today. So rather than the repositionable, I can do this way. So this is going to go on our right side. I wrote that upside down, which is going to drive me crazy, but that's okay. That is going to be on our right side, and we will have our pocket here. So we'll attach these together. Let's go ahead and score and burnish the 3.5 by 8.25. So put that in your scoreboard at 3.5. And mine looks like it might be just a tick over, so I'm going to score mine at 3 because I want to make sure I get a 3-inch pocket. If this gusset is a little bit bigger than 1/2 inch, it's okay. But then I want to go in and I want to score on both sides of that 8.25. And I am going to dry fit this really quick just to make sure that we're not going to have any overlap, and I'm not. So I'm going to go ahead and miter at the cross sections of those bottom corners and then also those top corners. And you can notch this pocket if that is your preference. I don't always notch my pockets. Sometimes I do. I don't think I'm going to on this one. I'm just going to leave them nice and flat, easy to decorate. So we're going to burnish all of our score lines of the pocket really, really well, because I like my pockets to be nice and crisp. And we're going to bring in our signature. Again, that pocket is on the right. I'm going to fold this over my 1/4 inch and my 1/2 inch. And I'm going to set this in my scoreboard. And I'm going to add glue just to this back section, because I'm also going to use the tape trick here, just like I did on the signatures. I'm going to add my glue. And we're going to slide again upside down. Don't ask me how that keeps happening, but my writing is going to be upside down a lot in this video. All right. Once we get that all nice and lined up, give that back one that we glued a nice burnish and flip it open. Clean up my extra glue there. And I am going to add that piece of tape across. Well, not that piece of tape because I bent it. You don't want bent up or wrinkled tape because it won't do you any good. And I didn't get that one long enough. Boy, I'm just not having fun with the tape today. That should be better. All right. Don't wrinkle up on me. My tape has a mind of its own today. Essentially, I want to hit both sides of the corners so that my mat that I put in the pocket does not bump those corners where we mitered. So now I have that down. I can add my glue to my side gusset. And I can also glue this pocket down because the paper for decorating and matting will slide right inside of there. There's plenty of room because we have gussets. If this were a tuck spot pocket and had no gussets, then we would not be able to glue this down right now. All right, so there you have your pocket. Now, this pocket is going to have, let me see here. Yes, this will have a magneted piece, and I will show you that in just a moment. So we're going to grab our other one that's upside down. And I don't need to miter this one. I probably will just because I miter everything. But it is the same length as the paper. So I'm just mitering those sides of my gusset. And I am going to give this a better burnish because it's not looking very burnished to me. I'm going to add glue to that 1/2 inch. And I'm going to do this way. I'm going to put this up this way. And then I am just going to adhere this, making sure that it goes all the way up, and it's all lined up. And then I can burnish that glue out and get rid of any excess. All right, so now when we decorate this, you have your pocket here, of course, and then your, make sure this is laying down a little bit better, because I don't want any issues here. All right, so then we'll have our pocket here. We'll have a fold out, and we're going to have a 4x6 mat that will be used for one of the 4x6 journaling cards. So this is, excuse me, 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. I'm not going to put this down because I need to decorate first. So this will go here. It'll have a magnet here that will adhere to a magnet on our pocket. So that is a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 mat that you can mat with solid paper at 4 1/8 by 6 1/8, and then your 4x6 journaling card. So that is for side A. We're going to flip this over so that our pocket opening is to the left to do side B. Side B is a simple stacked waterfall. For that, you need 2 pieces. One that is 6 by 9 1/2, and one that is 6 by 8 1/2. Okay, and that's going to make this, which will go on our page like so. And we will put a band on this as well, which for some reason I don't see here, and I'm going to have to cut one. All right, so start with the 6 by 9 1/2. Put it across your scoreboard with the 9 1/2. We're going to simply score at 4. Flip it all the way around and score at 4 again. And that's going to leave you this 1 1/2 opening. Now, because I'm a perfectionist and like my stacked waterfalls to line up perfectly, I will usually go ahead and do a light at 4 1/2 and 5, so I can see right where I want to put the next one when I put these together. So then you have your 6 by 8 1/2. You're going to simply do the exact same thing. We're going to score at 4, flip it around, and score at 4. Make sure you get really good score lines on that. Excuse me. Then you want to just fold this over, making sure that everything is in line before you do any burnishing. And as you could see, mine wasn't there at first. 'Tis now. All right, now I got a good burnish on that. I'm going to flip my scoreboard sideways, and I'm going to put the larger piece in. And where I marked that really light line, you want to add glue just to the 1/2 inch space on the back of this piece. Just like so. You can also use score tape if you choose. And this is going to line this up with that mark that I made right at the 4 1/2. And we just want to get that in there as perfectly straight on that 4 1/2 mark as is possible. Burnish it really well. Flip that open and burnish. Then you want to just nicely, gently, you're going to have to hold down where you just glued. But we want to make sure all of this lines up. And we will burnish that one as well. And then the final one here. And we will be burnishing the top one here in just a moment. Using your scoreboard can really help you line up your waterfall pages, because you can use it to set them up against that line here on your scoreboard, and it will make your waterfalls turn out a lot straighter. And mine is giving me fits here for some reason. I may have to trim this one. Sometimes that happens as well. All right. So now you can see that I have a 4-page waterfall. And I'm going to go ahead and flip that one and give it a burnish as well. And you can flip it either way. So this one is going to go on our page sideways. So here we are, signature 1, side B. This will go towards the middle of the page, like so. And we're going to do this one vertically. So this will hold photos that go up and down. And I'm not going to put this in yet because, again, I need to decorate. But you're also going to need a band that will hold a 3x4 or whatever you want to use to close. You can use a piece of the ephemera. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. But this is a 5.5 by 2. We're going to score on the 5.5 at half. And then I'm just going to turn this into a tab by mitering the sides of that 1/2 inch. And then we will fold and burnish this really, really well. And this will go, which we can glue, but once you figure out right about where, this is going to have about 1/2 inch all the way around the waterfall. A little bit more on the top and the bottom because we have a 7.25 inch page. This you want to line up with that 1/4 inch gusset over here. And this will lay on here like so. Now, if you have to trim this later, you can. I'm going to go ahead and glue mine down so it's ready to go. I'm just going to put glue on that little gusset there. I have my waterfall sitting here so I can get an idea of where the middle of my waterfall is. And then I can lift it up. And that is about where I'm going to want that. So just line that up nice and straight. This will also have a magnet to hold our waterfall. Okay, so now I'm just going to push that all down. And that is that. And that is our signature 1. And I somehow missed my, there it goes in there. Okay, on to signature 2. Clean up my mess first, I guess, would be a good idea. I have a mess. All this tape that didn't work out that I probably should not have stuck to my desk because I'll never get it off. All right, signature 2 is a top pocket page. So I'm going to grab one of those. I have one ready to go. So make sure that when you're doing this, that your top is opening at the top and not the bottom. Otherwise, it's upside down. Let's see, we've got 2B, 2B, 2A, and 2A. So 2A, this is the A side, super simple. We have a 7.5 by 3.5. And we are going to score that, put that in there at 7.5. And we're going to score at half. We're going to turn. I'm going to score this at 3 just to make sure that I got that correct. And again, this is going to be upside down because I did it again. And then again at half on the other side. So 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Also, again, you can notch these pockets. I've mentioned it a couple times. I don't always notch my pockets. Sometimes I go back and notch them. I don't believe that I'm going to do any notching in this one. I may do some corner rounding on some of my flaps, but you'll see that in my walkthrough. And like I said, again, we're upside down. So you know what I'm going to do? I do not like this upside downness. I'm going to flip this so that I don't have to see that upside down writing. I'm just going to flip all my gussets around. And there we go, nice and tight. So I'm going to bring this in. Again, I can glue this because we are going to be, make sure this is fitting first. Let's dry fit. Oh yeah, perfect. We are going to be putting paper that on here, but it can go on the inside. It'll slide right inside this pocket. So I'm just putting it on the bottom. And I'm going to turn my page sideways so my top opening is at the right. And I'm going to slide this in. I'm using my scoreboard to keep me nice and straight. And there we go. And then I can give it a nice burnish. I just did the bottom. I'm still burnishing everything out again because I want to make sure everything is nice and straight. As you can see, my tab there is a little ripply, and that does happen. I'm going to grab my tape, put that across there. Oh, and I got a little ripple. Don't like the rippling. There we go. I fixed it. Sometimes you can fix the rippled tape and sometimes you can't. So then we're going to add glue to our sides. And fold that over. All right. This book does have quite a few magnets in it, so I may go back in and show you again if you're not sure how to place them. It's fairly simple. I'm trying to decide on this flap too. I'm thinking that I may change this flap to be a little bit shorter. Right now I have it at 6.5 by 7 1/4, and then I scored on that 7 1/4 at half for the flap, which is here. But I'm thinking I might want this a little bit shorter, and then I'm going to add some of a border from a punch that I have, because it's really pretty and I think that this needs it. So I'm going to take a look at how far down this would be before you cut this piece. Even if you've already cut it, it's fine, because you can use the other strip for one of your gussets or something. All right, so I'm going to cut about 1.5 inches off of this, and then I'll tell you what it is. All right, so this becomes 5 3/4. Excuse me. Yes, 5 3/4 by 6.5. Okay, and again, that is just scored on that 5 3/4 at 1/2 inch, which turns this to 5 1/4. Okay, and that will simply go right on top. I'm gonna go ahead and glue this because I can. And this one, you want to really make sure you get it up there, because you don't want it to impede the opening of your pocket. All right. That is a little crooked. All right. I'm going to go ahead and burnish that. Pick that up. Give it a burnish. And it looks like I might have got this one a little off right here. So I'm just going to do a little trim right there. All right. So again, I will either do a magnet or some other type of closure here. I'm not sure yet, but I am going to add a border on this when I decorate. So if you want to keep yours long, it was 6.5 by 7 1/4. If you like the idea of putting like a doily border across the bottom when you close this, then you would make it the 5 3/4 like I did instead of 7 1/4. All right. For 2B, we are going to have a double stacked belly band. So that is very, very simple. This is a 2.5 by 8 1/4 and a 2.5 by 6 1/4. Both of these, you're just going to put in your scoreboard. I'm going to flip this so I don't have to worry about the writing. I'm going to score it half, flip it all the way around, back to that 8 1/4, and I'm going to score it half. Same thing with the other one. We're going to put it in at 6 1/4. We're going to score it half, flip it around and score it half. Half, Jen, not 3/4. Goodness. And then I am simply going to miter all of those edges. On both pieces. All right. So for this one on the page, we're going to fold and burnish our score lines really nicely. This one I am not going to put down with glue because I want to be able to get my decorating done first. But you will see how this was decorated. All right, so this will go in the middle of the larger belly band and be glued down. And then this will go in the middle of your page, glue at the top and at the bottom. So you'll have this nice double belly band. Okay, so that is signature 2. Signature 3, we are back at a side pocket. Cleaning up my mess a little here. For this one, you will have, I'm going to get my pieces over here. We have a few pieces. This one has doors with pockets, and then we will have something that goes in the middle of that. The rest of this is for side B. It's going to be another waterfall. There's 2 waterfalls in here. So for these, for 3A, again, we want to make sure that our pocket is on the right. You have 2 pieces that are 3 3/4 by 9 1/4. Okay. For the first one, you're going to score this at 3 1/4 with your 3 3/4 at the top. We want to make sure these line up perfectly. So we're going to score at 3 1/4, and then we're going to go all the way down here, put it at the 9 1/4, and you want to score at 7 1/4. This is where we're going to fold up, but we have to cut some stuff out first, okay? We're going to do the same thing with this one, but this time we are going to score on the right. So we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Turn it around, and again, we're going to score at that 7. This is 9 1/4. What is happening here? Oh, sorry, 7 1/4. Jen can't read her own writing. Okay, so then this little area down here, you do not need that, so we're going to cut that out. That long triangle that is left. You just want the 2 inches of paper here. And I'm going to go ahead and miter right there and right there. Okay, so that's what you'll have there. And do the same thing on this one. I'm just going to cut that out. And then I can cut up and miter. Okay, so these are our doors. This is what they look like. Essentially, these will flip up like so once we get them nice and lined up. And fold that bottom. We're just going to be gluing right along here when we do glue. We're not gluing these now because, again, I need to get my decorating done. Okay, so that's how that is. And we're going to have our doors like so. Want to go ahead and fold over those 1/2 inch gussets on the sides and give them a good burnish so that they open and close nicely. Grab your page, and I am going to put this into my scoreboard. Again, my pocket is over here on the right, and I'm first going to grab my left door, and I'm going to add glue to that 1/2 inch. And I am I'm going to put this in. Remember to fold over your 1/4 and 1/2 inch so that you get this right up against where it needs to go. And you got to hold this down. It can be a little tricky when using the scoreboard, but it really does help line everything up. All right. Make sure everything is lining up. Double check it down here, and it is. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a good burnish. Open it and give it a good burnish. And again, when I do this, when I do my decorating, I will be adding glue just to this side here so that we can slide something in that will hold these doors closed. Okay? I'll go ahead and burnish that a little better. All right, same thing. We're going to flip this over so now the opening is over here on the right. And we will add glue to our door gusset. Now make sure that your flap, your 2 inches, your pocket is on the bottom. So it should be at the top of your scoreboard when you do this. And we are going to slide this one in. Pick it up, make sure that everything is in line. Mine is, as far as I can tell. Close this, and I can see that my doors are a little bit touching each other, and that is okay, but you may have to trim either the door itself or your little 2 inch, which I may actually do. Or you can, another thing you can do is see where they are causing the problem, which mine was probably the end one because this one is in nicely. I'm going to line this up so that it's right in line with that one. And then I can move my scoring just a little bit. I can see that we have an alignment issue here. I'm not sure why, but it is fixable. Sometimes these barn or gatefold doors can do this. Ah, there we go. It was just a little bit off on the corner. So now you'll have this, and there'll be you'll have these glued down so that you can slide something in. And like I said, you may have to adjust your scoring at the bottom as well so that these doors line up with each other better. Mine is a little bit off, so I will be fixing that when I do my decorating, or I can do it right now and show you. I'm just pulling so that this one meets this one. And I'm going to hold it down, and then I'm going to gently burnish. And now you can see that they line up much better. This was just not lining up at the bottom, and that can be an issue with these kind of doors. Okay. On to side B. So we have, again, our side pocket, which somehow got glued shut there. We're going to turn this so that the pocket is on the left, so you know where you're at. Our next portion will be another waterfall. Now this one is going to go up and down instead of side to side, and this one has 3 pieces. So this one will have a 6 by 10.5, 6 by 9.5, and 6 by 8.5. And we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with the other waterfall. We're going to put these in, all 3 of them, one at a time, at the length. So 10.5, we're going to score at 4, flip it around, and we are going to score at 4. Put the 9.5 in. With the 9.5 across the top, we're going to score at 4. We're going to flip it around, and we are going to score at 4. Now this one, the first one, I forgot. I do like to put a soft 1/2 inch lines in so that I can see where to lay. Whoops, I did that one wrong. See? On 5, 4.5, 5, 5.5, and 6. Just lightly so that I can see when I put my other ones on. So here's my 8.5. I'm going to score at 4. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to score at 4. All right. Then you will have a 5 by 1 3/4 band. We're going to turn this to the 5. I'm going to score it half. This is going to be our band that holds that. And you're going to want to tab that as well. Miter, I should say, to make it into a tab. And I'm just going to burnish that. That's going to go at the bottom of the page down here, as close to the middle as it can get, glued to here, and it will be magnetized. Let's grab our pieces for the waterfall and assemble it. I'm going to turn my board sideways and put the largest one with all the lines here. First one is going to be the one with the thicker middle. This is our 9.5. I'm going to fold this and make sure it's nice and even. Give it a good burnish. And I want to add glue to that entire area up to the score line. And then I'm going to simply put that on my scoreboard and put that with that 4.5-inch line. And this one is looking like I might have to trim it just a bit. I might have got this a little bit wide. One of these at least is a little bit wide. Okay, go ahead and burnish. Okay, flip that open. And I did not draw a line here. I probably should have. Go ahead and fold over this one to the left of your 1/2 inch, so you have just partially folded. We're going to have our 1/2 inch here and then the fold line. And I need this to line up a little better. Go. All right, I'm going to give this a good burnish. I'm going to add glue to that 1/2 inch space there between the score lines. And then this one will line up with the 5. So get that in line with the 5 as best as you can. And then we'll give that a good burnish. Once everything is all nicely burnished, you can start to fold your other ones. This one is my top one. I'm going to go ahead and fold that on my score line. I'm going to use my scoreboard to kind of guide me there. This one open, and we're going to flip this one over and line it up. It's not lining up very good. There we go. All right, and then this one. And then the final one. All right, now when you do your waterfall, if you find that it's a little off and there's no way to really move the papers, if it's not like a single one where your score line was a little off maybe, you can go back and trim a little off to make it perfectly even. That's one of the nice things about doing the stacked version, is that you have that option in the end to fix it. And I'm seeing that mine has a few little issues here, so I am just trying to fix them. You can also flip and see if it works better the opposite way, which mine does not. These are all better 1/2 inch marks. So I'm going to take mine over here. Let's see. I think mine's actually fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. All right, so this will, I have a little bit of length extra here, and I'm not quite sure what is happening. Let me see if I can fix this. I don't know. Interesting. Okay. So this one, unlike our other, will go with our glue in this area between the score lines. It will go in the page a little higher than the middle. And then our little band will take place right down here and go to the middle like so. So this is what you will have. Okay. So that is signature 3. Finally, we have a signature 4, which is our final top pocket page. And we have a few things for this one as well. Let's see, this is B, B, B. I need all my A parts. Here's an A, an A, an A, and an A. Okay. So this one is going to have some stacked pockets. So we have 3.5 by 9. We have, wait, 3.5 by 9. Oh, this is our bifold. I apologize. You will need this, but not for the pockets. So for the pockets, you have 7.5 by 3.5 and 7.5 by 3. So let's grab those. I'm going to flip my scoreboard back around the way it goes. And we are going to do these like a typical gusseted pocket. Put this in at 7.5. We're going to score it half. Turn, so it's at 3. We're going to score it half. Turn again and half. So we're scoring half on 3 sides. And then we're just going to miter at those corners. And I did these a little bit different than I normally do my stacked pockets. I don't normally do them this way. I'm not quite sure why I actually did that, but that's okay. We're just going to go with it. Usually I just have a piece that slips in, but for some reason this time I decided to actually stack my pockets, which is going to make for a little bit more bulk, but it should be fine. So this is the smaller of the 2 pockets. For the larger one, I'm just going to go in. We're going to score at half. We're on the 7.5 again. Turn, score at half, and turn and score at half. So you're still doing the 3 sides, scoring. So weird. Sometimes it doesn't look like 1/2 inch to me. I don't know. My eyes are deceiving me, I guess. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get these all flipped around and burnished. Some nice crisp pockets. So these essentially go like so. So this one is just going to go just below. No, I did that wrong. All right, I apologize. So I did not do it incorrectly, but what I should have done is made this pocket 7.5 by 2 rather than 3. So that second one, same thing with scoring and everything. You don't have to score the bottom. I'm just going to use that as a guide when I put this on. And I can go ahead and put these on because I can slide the paper down in there. So I am going to burnish that first pocket, which is our 3-inch. Now, it was the 7.5 by 3.5. I'm going to dry fit this real quick. I'm going to first add glue to the bottom so I can add tape. I just put it on there backwards. Make sure your top is at the top. Now we're going to flip it, and so the top is at the bottom. And I am going to slide this in so that it lines up with my page. And double check it. And then we can give it a good burnish. Open it up. Add some tape. Oh, I got a perfect size that time. Sometimes I pull the tape off and I don't get a perfect size. All right, and we're just going to add glue to those side gussets. Lift that up and give your sides a good burnish. And I like to hold my bone folder at kind of an angle when I do these pockets on the sides, just to make sure that everything kind of lines up nicely with the page. So there's our first pocket. The second pocket that we did that, we're going to go ahead and miter those top. And that's going to give us those tabs. And you're just going to use this line as a guide because we're only going to put glue on these side gussets here. And then we're just going to slide this in the pocket. And they should line up right up to that line. And they do. And then you can burnish. And I'll be able to add paper to this because I have gussets, so I can slide it in and out. So now you have a pocket that goes here and a pocket that goes under, just like so. All right, this is going to have a drop down. A drop down meaning I will have some sort of embellishment that will go on here as a magnet. I'm not sure what yet until I decorate. So this is a 1 3/4 by 6.5 inch strip. We're going to score this at half. Sometimes I even score these at 1 because just depending on what I put on here, I'm not going, yes, I am going to, Jen can't talk today. I'm going to miter my edges, sides, and I'm just going to add some glue to that tab. Try to find the middle. So we have a 6.5 inch page. So if you put this right about two and a quarter for the left side of the band, you should be right about in the middle of that page. And then, like I said, you'll see in my decorating what I added to this. It'll either be a 4x6, a piece of ephemera. I may even trim this, but if I do, I will make sure to let you know that. All right, so 4B, our last one, has vertical stacked. What in the world? I can't read my own writing, y'all. Vertical stacked pocket large, vertical stacked pocket small. Oh, well, that's weird. That's kind of big. Vertical stacked pocket. Oh, sorry, vertical stacked flaps. This is, I can't read my own writing, I'm telling you. So you have a 6 by 7 1/4, a 5 by 7 1/4. Then you're also going to have, for this one, a band that was here just a second ago. I lost it. Oh, here we go. The band is 5.5 by 2, and then you'll have a 4.5 by 7 1/4, some sort of flap, but I'm not sure why I did this one. I think this goes to this. No, sorry, 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 mat for a journaling card. Okay. Phew. All right, the 6 by 7 1/4, put that in your scoreboard at 6, and we're going to score at half. Easy peasy stuff. Just at that half. I'm going to do the same thing with the 5 by 7 1/4. Put it in at 5, score at half. This one will stack on top of this one. For your band, put that in at the 5.5 and score it at half. Then of course you'll have that journaling card, but you do not need that. Also, I had forgot to mention from 4A, the last side, this is actually what goes on that band. So this is a 3.5 by 9. We're going to score it on the 9 at 4.5 to make a 3.5 by 4.5 flip up bifold, and this is what's going to be on that band. I had forgotten that I already had decided that and had it laying here, and it got underneath my scoreboard, so I apologize for that. So that goes on the A side. That is going to go right on here. And there'll be a magnet on the pocket and a magnet on this as well. And this will all close up like so. Okay, I'm going to slip that in the pocket so I don't lose it. And we are going to move on to our 4B. So you want to be on the, put these to the side. I think these go on the left. So these are going to go on the left. Our vertical flaps. I keep calling them pockets. I don't know what is wrong with me this morning. I'm going to go ahead and burnish both of our score lines there on the 4 and 5 inch. Take the 5 by 7 1/4. Add glue. You can miter, you do not need to. These are going to line up with each other perfectly, or so they should. Take the other, the 6 by 7 1/4 with your gusset folded backwards. We're just going to put that in our scoreboard. With this one with the gusset with the glue on it, we are going to put those together. Line them up nicely. I'm going to pick them up just to make sure that everything lined up in that scoreboard, and mine did. And then I can burnish. I'm going to open this up, burnish a little better, and I can see that I did get a little off kilter there, which I don't care for. But I can go down here and just trim that little chunky monkey out of there. All right. So now, let me go ahead and give that other 1/2 inch that's on the larger one a good burnish. And this time I am going to go ahead and miter, just so it lays a little flatter. Sometimes that helps. I'm going to add glue to that gusset. I'm going to bring in our book so that we're going to put the book on our scoreboard so that the 1/4 and 1/2 inch is to the right. And then I can slide this in here. And then we're going to take it out and line it up, make sure everything is in line. Make sure once everything is lined up, burnish everything, get rid of all this extra glue. Boy, I got a lot of extra glue this time. Goodness, I'm not sure what happened there. All right, and that will be that side, like so. So you will have your, boy, I'm getting a glare. I apologize, guys. Just one moment here. I need to put some poster board in my window. My blinds are reflecting on you. All right, there we go. That's probably much, much better. All right, so now we have those in, and you will have your little band. I'm going to go ahead and miter the sides. I'm going to fold that over, burnish, and then I just want to kind of decide where I want to line this up. Right around the middle or close to, if possible. Add some glue to that. And if I can find the 3 1/4 mark, I'm going to bend this down. And then I can find the 3 1/4. I should be right about 3 1/8. Nope. 2 7/8, 2 3/4. I'm gonna say, for me, what looks like the middle is right around 2 5/8. Now you can measure if you're picky. I am not. And then my 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 mat will magnetize over here, and it will have a 4x6 journaling card that will hold that closed. So that is our signatures. And once I get everything laid out for the inside covers, which will probably most likely just be some pockets, I will be back. All right, so the last things that we need to do on this are the inside covers, as well as the accordion spine piece that will go in the middle here to hold our pages. So we're going to start with that. And I have it's just going to be a stacked one. We're going to make some hinges here. And this is a 2.5 inch piece by 7 1/4. We're going to score this at half, 1, 1 1/2, and 2. Okay. Then you're going to take the 1 1/2 by 7 1/4, and we're going to score that at half and at 1. Easy stuff. Okay. We're going to fold and burnish on our score line here of our half on one side. I'm doing this kind of like I do the waterfall. A little less bulk this way, but we shall see. So I'm going to turn my scoreboard sideways, and I'm going to put this piece in. And what you want is to put this, wait, did I do that wrong? I might have just done that wrong, actually. No, I did it. No, I did it right. Oh, I'm losing my mind today. It's all good. All right, so I'm going to use my scoreboard. I'm going to add glue to this portion. So you have your half folded over, half folded over. I'm going to fold both of these. It's not cooperating with me today. I don't know why. You could do the traditional way too and do this all as one big piece. I'm just doing this for a little added stability. So now I have this 1/2 inch with folded over. So make sure you have your middle piece here. And I am going to grab my glue. You can also do this with score tape. Just going to add glue all through here. And then the line that I made will line up with the 1 on the scoreboard here, which is where I want to put this. And I want to line it up as straight as possible. And I'm going to flip mine over and burnish from the back side. I don't know why, but that just seems easier to me. It may not be. Who knows? All right. Now I'm going to fold this one in, and I'm going to go to the bottom one, and I'm going to fold up the other score lines and burnish. So now we have 1, 2, 3, and then our 4th page will go on this hinge. This is an older way to do this from many, many moons ago. Now we have our piece. I grab my book here. I'm going to go ahead and flip this around. Now this will fit with a 1/4 inch of space on either side. So what I want to do now is all this space that is in here, I'm going to fold this all up, and I'm going to put some score tape on the back side of my hinge piece. Trying to get it to lay flat is not the easiest thing in the world. Get our score tape on here. I will be using glue too, but I like to add a bit of score tape so I get a quick stick. I'm going to put it just on the sides if I can get it to cooperate with me today. I love it when score tape wants to go rogue. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and burnish all of that out. You can see I have some of my decorating done here. Then I'm simply going to grab my ruler, and a pencil because I want a 1/4 inch from this spine piece here. So I'm going to take this, and you can also use your spacers. I'm going to line that 1/4 inch right up with the edge of my spine, and once I see that it's doing, I'm not going to go all the way to the top because I don't want to see the line. Just going to make a mark. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And you may have guides in your crafty stash. Lots of people have those. I do not have those yet. But if you do, that works as well to make these lines. Saves you the measuring. All right, so now I am going to remove that score tape from one side only. I'm just going to peel the second piece back because I don't want to put this all on until I make sure I lined up and everything looks good, and then I can add more glue and make sure this is on here perfectly straight. And I do use quite a bit of glue. I'm going to hold on to that piece where the score tape is, and I am just going to line this up, leaving that 1/4, it's about 1/8 of an inch at the top and 1/8 of an inch at the bottom. Go over that line just a little bit. You can see I'm a wee bit crooked here, and that should do it. And then I can go in and add some more glue where that score tape was. And we can push all of this over and adhere it. And then I can clean off all my glue mess, which I do have a lot at the top and the bottom for some reason here. And I will reinforce these once the pages are in as well. And I also like to go in and miter these a bit. You don't have to, it's not a necessity, but I like to just take a tiny little bit of an angle off either side of these little hinges. Each one of my gussets. And that one I got a little more than I wanted, but it's okay. They don't have to be perfect. You're not going to see these because, like I said, I'm going to reinforce these with paper. The decorative paper. All right, so there's our hinge system in the book. Next, we're going to make this little flat pocket. Now, I already did mine and put my paper on top. So I put my mat down, which was 7 3/8 by 7 3/8 of an ivory cardstock. Then my piece here, which has an inch gusset, and that helps it just move a little bit easier. And this is a pocket. There will be a mat, photo mat in here that sticks out when I do my decorating. My page for the cover here, the decorative paper, is 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. Okay, so we're gonna make this pocket, and I have cut it out of regular black paper here just to show you. You're gonna need 2 pieces to make it. The flat pocket base is 7 by 8 1/2, and the cover is 6 1/2 by 7 1/2. You're gonna put the base in here, and we're gonna score this at 1. Then we're gonna turn, so we're on the 8 1/2. We're gonna score it half, turn it all the way around to the other side, and score it half. And you will see that you have these little, well, they're not squares. They would be rectangles. And we're going to just angle this one, and I'm going to cut this out. Now, we're going to do a little more cutting. So, first we're going to cut these out and miter the ends. So you will have this for now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and miter these top 2 as well. Now for this, I want to cut where that 1 inch score line is. I'm going to cut up about a 1/16, maybe even an 1/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to miter. And that's going to give you this little extra space so you don't see this paper under your decorative paper. Again, I'm going to cut up, and then I will miter my tab, which is being difficult. So this is what you will have. So then this will fold over. I'm going to double check these and make sure that I mitered them well enough before I try to put them on, attach them to my top. These will fold in. This is our tab. Okay, and then you're going to take your 6.5 by 7.5. We're just going to put that in at 6.5 and score on that 1/2 inch. Miter those edges of the 1/2 inch gusset. Fold it over. And that will go on top of here like so. So these will glue down. And this will glue down. And this is what's going to give you that pocket. And I did notch this one. So let me just grab. I'm just going to do it with glue. It's fine. I'm just going to add glue to these 1/2 inch. And to the 1/2 inch on the top. Lift these up, and I want to line this up as straight as I can with the edge of the paper all the way around. And then once I do that, I will push this down, lift this back up, fold in my 2 with the glue, the ends, and then we can burnish those as well. And I already would have made my notch in here, and I only did that on one side. So as you can see, this would be the side that would be notched. Wait, let's look here. Make sure I don't tell you wrong. So we'd have it like this. This side is going to be notched. This side is not. So you would have notched this, and then this attaches under all of my paper here. Okay, and like I said, I did sandwich my little tab between my mat and my patterned paper. All right, so next we're going to do a pocket back here. I added paper already. For this, you just need an 8.5 by 4. We're going to put this in here at 4, and we're going to score this right at 3.5. So I want a 3.5 inch pocket. Turn, so we're at 8.5. I'm going to score at 1/2. And I am going to score again at 1/2 on the other side. Then I am just going to miter at the cross sections here and at the tops of my pocket as well. And if you're like me and you like the tape trick, I'm going to probably do that. I'm going to go ahead and fold on all my score lines first and burnish them so that I can dry fit this. Before I go any further, I do not like crooked pockets or pockets that overhang. So that is what makes dry fitting important. So this will go with our hinge so that we open here. I'm just making sure this fits, and it does. I'm going to grab my Scotch tape. And we're going to put glue just on this gusset, the long one. And go ahead and line that up with your opening to the right. Just at the edge of your mat of paper. You don't want it all the way in that fold because we don't want any problems when we try to fold the book closed, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to go ahead and burnish all that down. This is looking like it's a little crooked. There we go. Make sure that your book opens and closes with ease, and then add tape across there. And again, like I've said before, that just makes it so stuff slides a little easier in your pockets. And I have a little too much, so I'm going to trim mine out here so it'll lay flatter. Once you have your tape down, and you can add glue to the side gussets. No need for tape on those. And then we will just close this. Make sure there's no excess glue, and then give it a nice hard burnish. And you can also notch this pocket. I did not. This pocket, I made a piece that's going to go in it that looks like so, and I will give you the measurements for that. So this is going to slide into, once it's dry, it's okay. So this will slide into our pocket, and it will magnet closed here, and then you can pull it out. So this was a 12-inch by 7 1/4 inch that I scored at 7 1/4 on the 12, and then I added 2 pieces of a punched border using a border punch that I will link below. It is available at Country Craft Creations. I did these with a 1 1/2 inch. So I did 2 1 1/2 by 7 1/4 and put those one on one side and one on the other to make this nice and thick. And that's how that will work. And I will, if you've seen my walkthrough, I will have gone over that already a little more thoroughly than I'm doing here. I'm just making sure everything is fitting, and it is. This will also have a mat. This I'm probably just gonna leave blank for the page. Maybe add some stickers or maybe a little border strip here. I'm not sure. You will see in my walkthrough what I decided to do there. All right, so next I'm just going to add my pages, and we will be done with this book. All right, so we are going to put our pages in. I'm going to grab a few things off my other desk here and show you how I do this. So, for starters, we have our 4 tabs here from our the hinges, and I also have a strip here that is 3/8 of an inch, and I will cut actually 8 of these and put one on either side of these gussets for added stability. So I'm going to start with the back one, and then all I will have left to do with this book is to finish putting stickers and other embellishments on. So I'm going to peel that 1/4 inch tape off, and I am going to add glue because I do like to add glue to mine. And I use 1/4 inch because I don't want the glue to stick out of my tabs. So this is my signature 4, and I am simply going to push down on this, and I don't want to go all the way down to the bottom of that, but pretty close. All right, once we have that nice and straight, then I can put it on, and then I will simply burnish that. And like I said, I'm going to add, because this does get heavy, you don't have to do this step, but I am going to add this piece here. This one is actually cut a little long, but I will glue that to the gusset, and I will glue one to the other side, and you will see that in my walkthrough finished. So to line up the next one, I'm just going to go ahead and get that tape off of there, add my glue, and grab signature 3. And I'm again gonna just push this down, and I want to line this one up with this one, so keep that in mind when you are setting your book down. You want to make sure that these are in line also with each other. And once I get that lined up nicely with the other one, and on the gusset nicely, I can go ahead and burnish. And I'll flip this over and give that a nice burnish on that side as well. All right, next one. And these will get a little bit more difficult to add your pages to as you go, just because, you know, you have all these pages here, and you need to line them up. So I'm going to add my glue. And you can do a completely different hinge system if you prefer the slide-on method. You can do this any way, it will work. I'm going to line this up. I leave about 1/8 of an inch of that gusset at the bottom, just because I don't want to go all the way to the end. And you can see that I have just a little bit left. But you can see how nicely our pages lay nice and flat, and I like that way of doing it. All right, last one. Let's stick signature 1 in here. Add my glue. It looks like my tape is a little askew up there. I don't like that. And here is our signature 1. Push this down kind of in the middle. Line this up. You kind of have to watch where you put your finger, because you don't want too much of a gap, and you want to be able to line this up. And I might actually have to change the size, because I did leave that little space there. I might want to change the size of my pieces that are going to cover my gussets to actual 1/2 inch pieces. 1/2 inch to 3/8. Let's see here. If I open this up, and I want to put a strip on here, this still works just fine. If you want it a little wider, you could actually fit 1/2 inch in there probably. I will go over that in my walkthrough, what I ended up using. But that is the book. I've added my cover and my back. I haven't completely decorated yet, but I did use the olive seam binding and this ribbon that was in my design team package, which is linked below. And I will tie these off at the end in knots, and then these will become bows. These are taped and glued underneath my cover. And for this portion here, I used this piece of ribbon that was in my design team package. I folded it under with some score tape before trying to glue it. It is a little bit difficult to get it to stick, but it did stick in, with score tape and then glue added. If you just use glue, it just makes a big mess. So I highly suggest, if you're doing this, to use score tape. So that is my album. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you make this and share it with us on the Scrapbookers group. And I hope that you all have a fun, crafty day. Bye-bye.